diabolical intensity, we have to meet it every day, every week, every month, every year with righteous intensity.
How do you...
Righteous intensity, he says with no...
What's going on, you guys? Today we have the Vanguard calling out Brian Tyler Cohen. Brian Tyler Cohen was interviewing Hakeem Jeffries, and it didn't go so well. Let's get into it.
When you're supposed to be the young left flank on YouTube, I would expect you to take an even harsher tone than a Netflix comedian, a Comedy Central host like Jon Stewart, right? If that's your whole identity, is I am the political YouTuber guy, I am the progressive flank. Well, you're literally sitting across from the opposite of the progressive flank. Let's see what kind of smoke you can serve up, even if it is in the respectful form of like, don't you think we should be leaning more towards New Deal politics as opposed to just saying, oh, we need to get our message out, as if that's going to solve anything.
Yeah. Also, something you guys have to pay attention to is like, it's not a big deal, but just pay attention to how much Hakeem Jeffries speaks with his hands and his arms. It's like a fucking parody, bro. Like I genuinely don't understand. I've never seen someone speak with their hands and their arms so much. He can't say a single word without emoting with his, hands and arms. It's genuinely weird.
Yeah.
Jeffries, thank you so much for taking the time.
Great to see you.
So we are in the midst now where more and more Republicans are agitating to ignore court orders as they relate to pushing back against Donald Trump's worst impulses. As this impending constitutional crisis comes more into view, what's your level of worry about what we're contending with?
Well, this is a moment where there are far-right extremists who are trying to effectively end America as we know it. And one of the most important parts of America is the adherence to the rule of law, and that in this country, nobody is above the law. And yet we see Republicans threatening to defy the federal courts. That is something that everyone should be troubled by. It's one of the reasons why we just launched a rapid response task force and litigation working group that will be led by Congressman Joe Neguse, as well as Congressman Jamie Raskin, to make sure that we are pushing back aggressively from a litigation standpoint and anticipating the possibility of noncompliance.
That was absolutely horseshit.
I don't even remember what he said.
Yeah, they're gonna create a compliance task force. Like, are you fucking kidding me? We want action. I bet. Don't worry, guys. I bet Brian Tyler Cohen's gonna ask for a lot more specifics.
Do you anticipate that they will ignore court orders?
We got a briefing from Representative Jamie Raskin.
And the Vanguard is calling out Hakeem Jeffries right here for, it's irrelevant. Whatever he's saying is irrelevant. These are empty platitudes. It sounds like a little bit of like cowering and fear, and these useless reforms and accommodation. Like, oh, we're going to fight our best shot against tyranny. We're gonna do whatever we can to try to stop him for as long as we can. It's like that doesn't even sound like you're actually resisting anything. It just sounds like you're drawing out this inevitable tyranny.
Earlier this morning, and he indicated that so far the federal courts are holding, and the administration has not aggressively moved in that direction, notwithstanding some of the rhetoric that we've heard that's irresponsible from people like the vice president.
What do you say to these Republicans?
It almost looks like he's speaking in sign language. I'm like, why are you fucking moving your hands so much?
Also, no direct action from them caused the pivot from Donald Trump. He's like, well, we're just waiting to see. This is what they're doing, but we've got a task force ready to put out a press release whenever they make a move.
Who for so long have beat their chests about being the party of law and order, who are now coming out and saying, you know what, if some of these court orders don't comport with our political agenda, screw it.
Truth be told, Republicans have become the party of lawlessness and disorder. They're phony when it comes to the notion that they respect the rule of law. One of the reasons why we know that to be the case is that in the aftermath of the irresponsible pardoning of violent felons who brutally beat police officers and were then released into the community, many of my Republican colleagues embraced it. They're phony when it comes to pretending to be the party of law and order.
We've seen as Trump.
We're gonna put more cops on the streets than the Republicans. We're gonna make sure that we say, hey, we love the cops even more than you. Okay, you're the ones that want to put criminals on the streets, not us.
Has kind of heaped more and more influence onto Elon Musk. This lack of adherence to any facts. I mean, this notion, the lie that $50 million worth of condoms were being sent to Gaza when that wasn't the truth. And yet these people who have these massive platforms will say them anyway, knowing that, okay, if anything is wrong, we can just go back afterwards and try and fix it. But by that point, the toothpaste is already out of the tube, right? That ship has already sailed.
Which is so funny to me that a guy like Brian Tyler Cohen is sitting here doing that. That's exactly what he would do for a Democrat. That's exactly what he would do for a guy like Joe Biden. That's exactly what he would do for anyone. He wouldn't come out here and criticize them. He wouldn't confront them with any reality. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries is barely a Democrat, guys. I mean, he is basically an old school Republican, except he's just a corporate guy who just wants to be in power, and he's really good at.
And right, I mean, at this point, it does just seem like the Democratic Party has no strategy besides hoping that this Trump term implodes, that Trump implodes on himself. But, you know, they've already acquiesced to whatever is about to happen. They already, you know, it seems like they're just preparing the public for whatever is going to happen. They're not going to intervene. They're sort of looking at this monster that we have in the government and what our government has become. And they said, well, you know, we're just, what do you want me to do about it? You know, and they're not going to do anything about it. You know, it's going to have to go back to the workers. It's going to have to go back to the people to really check whatever's going on in this government.
Fundraising, because he has no shame and no personality. Okay, that's why he was able to rise to the top in the Democratic Party. And instead of pushing this guy to be like, please do something, we are desperate right now, and you are the House Minority Leader, all this guy wants to do. This is really, it's an overused term, but what we're watching right now is called access journalism. It is the kind of stuff that MSNBC does. It is the kind of stuff that CNN does. It is the kind of stuff that in corporate media, it's pretty run-of-the-mill, but in independent media, it's anathema. It's unacceptable. All right, you always have to have at least some kind of a hardline question. Let's make sure that this isn't just a stroke off. I'm not just here to tongue bathe you, right? Especially when you're a person that's in a high position of power, right? And you are not resisting, and you are just rhetorically giving, you know, word salad answers to people who actually need leadership now, right? The Democratic Party is desperate for leadership. Obviously, Hakeem Jeffries is not a leader. And if you're going to sit down with the guy, it should be to expose that and to talk about how this guy ain't it, okay? Or to rather reveal that he ain't it. But this whole laundering of his reputation at such a critical time when he is dropping the ball, shitting the bed completely, it's disgusting. And I think a guy like Brian Tyler Cohen should go back to MSNBC and get the fuck off YouTube.
And so what do you say to these Republicans then, like Elon Musk, who are so quick to perpetuate these lies with so little willingness to actually adhere to the truth about them?
Flooding the zone with outrage and with lies is an intentional strategy that the extreme MAGA Republicans and the far right extremists have adopted. And we've got to confront that strategy aggressively. We also have to know who we're dealing with in terms of their approach. And it's clear to me, it's a threefold approach.
All right, people are going to get mad because he's also a black guy. I think he's trying to do like a dollar store Obama impression, kind of like how Josh Shapiro tries to do a dollar store Obama impression. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from this guy. I feel like every guy, Pete Buttigieg, everybody from this demographic of liberals, they're like Obama if you just took out whatever made him actually compelling to listen to, right? So they're doing the like kind of like a voice. They're trying to speak in platitudes. They're waving their hands around, but they're not
If this is your cup of tea, subscribe and like for more.
connecting with people. It's just all like, I don't know. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I've been calling Hakeem Jeffries the like discount store Obama for months now.
1, facts don't matter. 2, hypocrisy is not a constraint to their behavior. They don't give a damn if they say one thing and are doing the exact opposite. And 3rd, they actually believe that shamelessness is a superpower. And so in dealing with that kind of diabolical intensity, we have to meet it every day, every week, every month, every year with righteous intensity.
How do you
Righteous
how do you-
intensity, he says, with no righteous intensity. That's the funniest thing about this. Like, he's saying things that sound really dramatic, but he's saying them as if he's talking about like the quarterly earnings for Baskin Robbins or something. You know, like he's on a Zoom call with investors and he's like the CEO of Best Buy. And he's like, well, earnings are a little bit down this quarter, but I think we can, you know, turn them around in the next.
No, that is the exact way to put it, Gavin. That's exactly, it's Silicon Valley coded. It reminds me of what it's like when I'm in a business development meeting and they've got a guy standing up and he's doing his like, you know, diet Glenn Ross spiel. And he's talking about, oh, we've got to be really intense about this, guys. And we're going to go out there and we're going to do it because coffee is for closers. Boy, you put that down until you're going to get a glass of water. Okay. Boy, howdy. We're going to get this done. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, like a low energy kind of, you know, manager. And that is what the Democrats really embody, low energy management.
Yep. And
So there we have it, you guys. We have Hakeem Jeffries, who really is just softening the blow for whatever's about to come. He's saying, we might have had a government way back in the day, maybe something that a dream we even sold the regular people, that we had a government that was serving the common good. But now, we pretty much have a dictator, and we're doing everything we can to fight him. We really are. We're doing everything we can. We're meeting it with, and he's just going to give you a bunch of platitudes, nothing that actually means anything whatsoever. And it's the Democratic Party, as far as the leaders go, as far as anyone that we as a people may see, have become irrelevant. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, what the next moves are. It's another day in the progressive way.